All right, guys. All right, this is Wednesday, March 25th, synthetic division, part 2. So this is going to cover problems 9 through 16. All right, we're going to do a couple of these together, and then you'll do some on your own. All right, on the directions for these, it's telling us that you're going to solve using synthetic substitution. The a value is greater than 1, so you have to divide everything by that number. And you still have to watch out for missing terms. All right, so remember on Mathia, these were the ones that look kind of scary. You get these kind of weird fractions and stuff like that. But I promise you guys, if you listen and pay attention to how I do this, the fractions are super duper easy and you don't have to worry about them. It's not crazy hard. All right, just pay attention. All right, so if we look at our problem here, what we notice is over here, this right here, we have a number in front of our letter here now. So this is our a value. It's greater than 1. So what we have to do is we have to divide everything that we see by 7 because we got to get rid of that 7. So we're going to divide everything by 7. Now that's going to create some crazy fractions, and it's okay. It's okay, I promise. All right, so if we divide this now becomes a to the 5th minus 60a over 7a to the 4th plus 66 over 7a to the 3rd plus 55 over 7a squared minus 57 over 7a plus 5/7. And all of this is being divided by a minus 5/7 now. All right, so what we're going to do is same exact procedure as we did before. So we're going to start off with taking the opposite of this number here and putting it on the outside. So it's 5/7. And I'm going to write down all of my coefficients. Now, if I check this out, I've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. So, therefore, we don't have to worry about any missing terms. So I'm going to write down my coefficients. We have 1, negative 68 over 7, 66 over 7, 55 over 7, negative 57 over 7, and a positive 5 over 7. Okay, leave some space and draw my line. All right, here we go. First number comes straight down every single time, no matter what. So we have 5/7 times 1 gives me 5/7. Now, when you're adding with fractions, okay, what's really nice about this is that your denominators are the same. And remember, when adding fractions, you have to have common denominators. So that's already given to us. It's just the way the problem's set up. So all you're going to do is you are just looking at the top of each one. So I'm going to do negative 68 plus 5, okay? And when I do that, that's going to give me a negative 63 over 7. So negative 63 over 7. Now, watch what happens. Negative 63 divided by 7, what is that? Right, it's negative 9. So once you do this, all you concentrate on is the top. And then you write it as a fraction, leaving 7 as a denominator. 7's going to be the denominator for everything on here. And then you just simplify that fraction, and it's going to turn into a whole number for you. All right, so now when we do the multiplying, okay, when we multiply, all you're doing is taking this top number here, this 5, and you're going to multiply it by your whole number. So 5 times 9 gives me negative 45, and then I put it over 7. Again, 7's always your denominator. We're only working with the tops of the numbers. So now we have 66 plus negative 45. And that's going to give me 21. So 21 over 7. And 21 divided by 7 gives me 3. So again, it gets me down to a whole number. All right, next. Again, take the top. 5 times 3 gives me 15 over 7. If I add 55 plus 15, that gives me 70 over 7, which is 10. 70 divided by 7 is 10. All right, and then we take 5 times 10, and that gives me 50 over 7. And then negative 57 plus 50 gives me negative 7 over 7. Again, I'm just concentrating on the top. I just add those two together and put 7 as my denominator. So negative 7 over 7 is negative 1. And now I have negative 1. So now, again, I'm taking this. Remember, our number outside, 5/7. So take the top. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5 over 7. And I end up with 0 as my remainder. Okay, now on some of these problems, you're going to end up with a remainder, and I'll show you how to handle that too. All right, so now we need to write our answer. It's the exact same way. So our original problem started to the 5th, so our answer is going to start to the, you're right, 4th. All right, so it's going to look like this. We're going to have, let's see, the letters A. So A to the 4th minus 9A to the 3rd plus 3A squared plus 10A minus 1. And there is no remainder. Okay, so this is your final answer right here. Okay, and I got that answer from these numbers down here. All I did was put a variable with them and an exponent with them and wrote it in my answer. All right, that was a nice, clean, simple one. Yeah, we had fractions, but they're not overwhelming. You just have to deal with the tops of the fractions. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at number 11. All right, so on number 11, so I'm going to start off by looking at, all right, my A value is greater than 1, so it's a 4. So what am I going to have to divide everything by? Correct, 4. So we're going to divide everything by 4. Okay, so when we divide these, let's go and get these. So 36 divided by 4 gives me 9x to the 4th plus 63 over 4x cubed plus 27 over 4x squared minus 7 over 4. All right, and then we're taking that divided by x plus 3/4. All right, so next thing I'm going to look at is, let's look at our exponents. We got 4, 3, 2, we don't have just the x term, right? So we have 0x, right? So we're going to have to put a 0 in as a placeholder. So you got to be careful about that. Again, that's like another one of those big mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to write out my coefficients. Oh, I'm sorry. First, we're going to take this positive 3/4, and I'm going to write down the opposite. So negative 3/4 goes on the outside here. All right, now I'm going to write down my numbers. So we have 9, 63 over 4, 27 over 4, 0, and then negative 7 over 4. Remember that 0 comes from the fact that we have no just x term. We have x to the 4th, we have x to the 3rd, we have x squared, but we don't just have x to the 1st. So we have to put a placeholder in for that. All right, and now we're going to carry this down. First number comes straight down. Again, when we're multiplying, you multiply the number times the top. So this would give you negative 27 over 4. So then I have 63 plus negative 27 is going to give me 36 over 4. Right? And 36 over 4 is the same thing as 9. All right, now we are going to multiply. So remember, we're multiplying here, and then the answer goes up here, right? Our bouncy ball. So negative 3 times 9 gives me negative 27 over 4. So 27 plus negative 27 is just going to give me 0. So that's always nice. We always like when we get zeros because that makes things kind of easier. All right, so then when we take 3/4 times 0, that's going to give us 0. Add straight down gives us 0. And then again, 3/4 times 0 gives me 0. And then, we're left with a remainder of negative 7/4. Okay, and we'll deal with that. All right, so our original problem was to the 4th. So our answer is going to be to the, correct, to the 3rd. So we're going to have 9. I'm taking it from right here. This 9. X to the 3rd. Then we have this 9. X squared. And then do I need to write anything if they have zeros? Nah, I don't need to write those. But I do have to deal with this remainder. So what we do is we take, again, it's all about the top number. So I'm only taking the top number. So I'm going to put minus 7. And remember, our remainder is always a fraction. So on the bottom of the fraction is what we're dividing by. And we have to write down the original binomial. So then this would be 4x plus 3. And then that's your solution. Okay, again, all I did on the remainder is I took the top number here, right here, this negative 7, and put it on top. And then I went back to my original binomial that I'm dividing by. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Let's jump down to 15. I'm going to kind of just work kind of around. I want to do this one just because it looks longer, so it looks intimidating, but trust me, it's not that bad. All right, so we're going to divide everything by 7 to begin with because of this 7. So divide by 7. All right, so then 70 divided by 7 gives me 10v to the 4th minus 111 sevenths v to the 3rd plus 13 sevenths v squared minus 45 sevenths v plus 85 over 7. And we're taking all of this and dividing it by now v minus 9 sevenths. All right, so I'm going to check out my exponents. I got to the 4th, to the 3rd, to the 2nd, to the 1st, and 0. So perfect. We have no missing terms, so we don't have to worry about a 0. I'm going to take, excuse me, I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to flip the sign on it, and I'm going to put it in the corner. And I'm going to write down all of my coefficients. All right. Another smart thing to do is you can possibly do these problems on graph paper if you have it. Just the grid lines can sometimes keep you more organized, or lined paper, that works too. All right, we're going to leave some space. First number comes straight down, and then we're going to do our multiplying. So we're going to take the top number here, 9 times 10 is 90, and then put that over 7, because our denominator in this whole entire thing is going to be 7. All right, so when we do that, we end up with negative 111 plus 90, so that gives me negative 21 over 7, which is going to be negative 3. All right, now we're going to take negative 3 times 9 gives me negative 27 over 7. All right, so then we have 13 plus negative 27, and that gives us negative 14 sevenths, which of course is negative 2. And then 9, again up here, the 9 times my negative 2 is negative 18 over 7. So when I add those together, that's going to give me negative 63 over 7, which is negative 9. And now we're going to take negative 9 times a positive 9 and get negative 81 over 7. And we're going to end up with a positive 4 sevenths. Now remember, last number is always your remainder. Okay, so to write this answer, our problem started to the 4th, so our answer is going to start to the 3rd. So we have 10v to the 3rd minus 3v squared minus 2v. Again, these minus signs are coming from the fact that these are negative, right? And this is a positive 10 because this is a positive 10. And then we have minus 9. Now notice our remainder is positive, so we're going to put a plus 4. Right? We kind of ditched that 7, and then we're going back to our original binomial that we divided by, and so we have 7v minus 9. And that is your solution. All right, again, I know they look kind of intimidating, but please take your time, try them out. So essentially, I've done 3 for you on this section. So you have 10, 12, 13, 14, and 16. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 5 problems to do on this page and 5 on the other. So a total of 10 problems. If you have questions, please ask. Do not just sit around and not understand. Please ask me or watch the video again. Go back over the video a couple times if you need to. That's the luxury of having the video. All right, guys, if you need anything, let me know like always. Thanks.